I'll take a certain amount of money that I can lose and it won't ruin my night. And I go down and I wear a canary yellow jacket and sometimes a kilt and I get up and I enjoy it and it's fun and it hits those dopa sensors. Occasionally I buy options, which I know is stupid, but I don't do more. I don't invest more. It's not invest, or I don't gamble more than I can lose without bumming me out. And I have fun with it. In today's Office Hours, we speak about teaching young people to invest, being honest about mental health at work, and finding common ground across politics. Oh, God, here we go again. Question number 1. I have not seen or heard these questions.
Hey, Scott. My name's Patrick, reaching out from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm a proud public high school teacher of 23 years, teaching a course for seniors entitled Economics and Personal Finance. Your books are featured on my classroom bookshelf, with the Algebra of Wealth being my top choice for reference. One persistent issue I'm encountering is students struggling with investing. I emphasize concepts like compound interest and the critical role of time, sharing my belief that investing is a marathon, not a sprint. I illustrate how 8% annual returns from a low-cost index fund can make them millionaires when they retire if they start early enough. Unfortunately, I'm losing some students, especially the young men, who are captivated by high-risk investment options like crypto and DraftKings. What engaging strategies would you recommend I use to capture my students' attention, especially the boys, and help them see the value in patience and steady growth?
This is a difficult one because, there's a couple of things. And I think you need to teach young men why they are, one, more risk aggressive. Their prefrontal cortex isn't just as mature as a girl's. They don't understand kind of the gas on, gas off brake. And some of that risk aggressiveness is built into them for positive instinctive reasons. And that is, the only way that we have survived as a species is that we need men that are, quite frankly, more risk aggressive and more violent. That risk aggressiveness has been built into our species, and in many ways, it's a positive part of masculine energy. It has real downsides, and that is young men are willing to take more risks than oftentimes are healthy, and this also comes to investing. So you have to teach them, one, you are more risk aggressive, and there's real downsides there. Two, while you may think it's impossible to believe you're going to be, my age or your grandparents' age, you will be, and also it'll go really fast. So wanting to invest in risky assets, you are prone to, and it's understandable. And to be fair, over the last couple of years, because of a surge in the markets, high-risk bets have outperformed. A portfolio of Bitcoin, gold, GameStop, and DraftKings returned 62% in 2024, more than triple the traditional kind of 60-40 stocks and bonds portfolio. 1 in 5 men under the age of 44 own crypto, according to an NBC poll, compared with single-digit percentages for women. Pew found, again, see about more risk aggressive, Pew found 42% of men 18 to 29 had invested in or used crypto versus 17% of women. Meme stocks, gold, and political trading platforms also skew heavily male, right? Because they're more risk aggressive. So research suggests that men feel they fall short of traditional masculinity are the ones that are most likely to own crypto and meme stock. They see it as sort of cosplaying manhood. Nearly 10% of young men struggle with problems gambling, and that's 4 times the U.S. average. It also kind of hits that dopa around gambling. So when you buy crypto, it's just more fun to see volatile assets go way up or even way down as opposed to investing in a low-cost Vanguard index fund. The problem is over time, essentially alternative investments in these riskier assets underperform just investing in a large diversified basket of funds. In addition, see above that kind of evolutionary issue around not believing time's going to pass. If you just get 9% a year, that means every 24 years, you're 8xing your investment. And what I try and do is take them through these things they're fighting against and then say, okay, you want to have some fun? Fine. Day trade, buy crypto, buy meme stocks, have at it. You'll learn about the markets. It's sort of fun. And there's something about consumption. I go to Vegas a lot. I'll take a certain amount of money that I can lose and it won't ruin my night. And I go down and I wear a canary yellow jacket and sometimes a kilt and I get fucked up and I enjoy it and it's fun and it hits those dopa sensors. Occasionally I buy options, which I know is stupid, but I don't do more. I don't invest more. It's not invest, or I don't gamble more than I can lose without bumming me out. And I have fun with it. So fine, have at it. Try and sequester it. Teach them the basics of why their brain goes this way. Teach them the advantages of compound interest, the power of time, and that they will be around for another 60 or 80 years. And then say, okay, I get it. You want to have some fun. You want to learn about the markets. Take $100 a month if you can save it from your job. Start investing now. It'll be eventually, whatever that is, $1 million by the time they're my age. And take 30% of it and do whatever you want with it and see if you can outperform the market. And over the medium and long term, start measuring the 70% that goes into low-cost index funds and your 30% of what I'll call sporting or gambling or Dunning-Kruger, where you actually believe you can beat the market. And let it be a life lesson. Have some fun and learn from it and learn about the markets. But again, I think it's rooting in investing in basic psychology, evolutionary theory, biology around the male brain, such that they understand what's going on with them. And then don't kind of parent them or don't scold them and say, have some fun. Thanks so much for your good work. Support for the show comes from Betterment. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the markets tomorrow. That's why when it comes to saving and investing, it helps to have a long-term approach and a plan you can stick to. Because if you don't, it's easy to make hasty decisions that could potentially impact performance. Betterment is a saving and investing platform with a suite of tools designed to prepare you for whatever is around the corner. Their automated investing feature helps keep you on track for your goals. Their globally diversified portfolios can smooth out the bumps of investing and prepare you to take advantage of long-term trends. And their tax-smart tools can potentially help you save money on taxes. In short, Betterment helps you save and invest like the experts without having to be an expert yourself. And while you go about your day, Betterment's team of experts are working hard behind the scenes to make sure you have everything you need to reach your financial goals. So be invested in yourself, be invested in your business, be invested with Betterment. Go to betterment.com to learn more. That's BETTERMENT.com. Investing involves risk, performance not guaranteed. Support for the show comes from Grüns. They used to say that an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Well, that's a nice thought, but even so, you still won't get all the nutrients you need that way. Here's a tip: add Grüns to the mix. Grüns isn't a multivitamin, a green gummy, or a prebiotic. It's all of those things and then some at a fraction of the price. And bonus, it tastes great. All Grüns daily gummy snack packs are packed with more than 20 vitamins and minerals, made with more than 60 nutrient-dense ingredients and whole foods. And for a limited time, you can try their Grüny Smith apple flavor just in time for fall. It's got the same snackable, packable, full-body benefits you come to expect, but this time, these taste like you're walking through an apple orchard in a cable-knit sweater, warm apple cider in hands. I've tried Grüns. I find it very convenient. And in general, just super easy to get kind of that health boost, if you will. Grab your limited edition Grüny Smith Apple Grüns, available only through October. Stock up because they will sell out. Get up to 52% off when you go to gruns.co and use the code Prof G. Question number 2.
Hi, Prof G. This is Max. I'm a soon-to-be 32-year-old English undergrad at the University of Alabama in Huntsville. My college journey began way back in 2012 in Ohio, so this Yankee has had a lot of stops and starts on the way here, balancing health challenges and family caregiving. This term is a personal best. I'm back in classes, a student worker in the humanities office, and if the Earth doesn't shift off its axis, we'll graduate in fall 2026. I've really resonated with your compassion and advocacy around mental health. In 2021, I went through a very dark period and made an attempt on my life. Since then, I've been working hard on my health, leaning on counseling professionals, support groups, family, and friends while I navigate my recovery. Here's my question. As I prepare to graduate with my English degree, I'm wondering, how do I represent myself to employers with honesty about my journey while keeping the focus on my strengths and potential? I want to earn a good job, but also respect employers' time and boundaries and not overshare my personal struggles. Appreciate you, Prof G.
Max from Bama, I think the truth has a nice ring to it. And I think saying I went back to, college late in life, I had a lot of my 20s was about caregiving and some fits and starts and some of my own struggles. You don't even have to say mental health, some of my own health struggles. But I made my way back to Bama and I've graduated. You know what? I think that's a nice story. You're going to be applying to jobs with HR people and these are humans. And I can tell you, I think they're going to have a similar reaction as I'm having. I'm thinking, I like Max. I like the fact that you got your way back and decided you wanted to go to college. And also, you're just going to, in some ways, have more to offer than a 23-year-old graduate because you've had some life lessons and you probably have a little bit more empathy and a little bit more wisdom and a little bit more patience. So I don't know. I think you come out of Bama an especially attractive candidate or potential recruit for employers. Your story is this is, like any other person interviewing for a job. This is why I want the job. This is why I'd be good at it. And let me just address the elephant in the room. I am older than most of the grads you've seen. I had some issues in terms of requiring family caregiving. I had some of my own health issues, got my act together, decided to go back to college, and here I am. I think that's a really nice story, Max. So I wouldn't be too self-conscious about it. I think your story actually puts you in a better position than the undergrads you're competing with. Because the reality is, you may feel like you're old at 31. You're not. You're a young man. You're about to be soon to be a college graduate in English, which if I had it to do again, I think I probably would have majored in English, just because the ability to communicate with the written word is still this incredible, rare and powerful art, if you will, or science. So, boss, you're going to be fine. Enjoy your time at Bama. Try and make yourself as attractive as possible to potential employers. Maybe start publishing some stuff or examples. The bar will be a little bit higher for you because they'll expect you to kind of have your shit together by then, but it sounds like you already do. And also, to the extent that you can be involved in, I don't want to say caregiving, but counseling or therapy, I just think what you've probably been through makes you more empathetic person. But again, I'm good at running other people's lives. But in terms of being self-conscious, just stop that shit. Max, you're going to a great school. You're going to get a great degree that's very utile. You have a great story, and people are going to want to hire you as much or more than any other college grad. Best of luck to you, Max. We'll be right back after a quick break.
Support for the show comes from LinkedIn. It's a shame when the best B2B marketing gets wasted on the wrong audience. Like, imagine running an ad for cataract surgery on Saturday morning cartoons, or running a promo for this show on a video about Roblox or something. No offense to our Gen Alpha listeners, but that would be a waste of anyone's ad budget. So, when you want to reach the right professionals, you can use LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn has grown to a network of over 1 billion professionals and 130 million decision makers, according to their data. That's where it stands apart from other ad buys. You can target your buyers by job title, industry, company role, seniority, skills, company revenue. Also, you can stop wasting budget on the wrong audience. That's why LinkedIn ads boast one of the highest B2B return on ad spend of all online ad networks. Seriously, all of them. Spend $250 on your first campaign on LinkedIn ads and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Just go to linkedin.com/prof. That's linkedin.com/prof. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. On to our final question, which is from FDUBSC on Reddit. They say, "Hey Scott, in the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk shooting, I found myself watching more of his content that he has put out throughout the years to see what made him so captivating to young people. What has really been eye-opening to me is how his message about young people today struggling sounds exactly like what you have preached for so long. So obviously there is common ground between people who vote differently in this arena. How can we as young people look to bridge this gap and join forces in fighting for a better future for young people regardless of political leanings? Thank you for being an advocate for young people," from a 26-year-old Connor. Okay, so I didn't know much about Charlie Kirk. I had seen clips of him, but I really didn't know much about him before he was murdered. And a lot of people wrote me and said, "Are you upset?" You guys shared a lot. And I never thought of Charlie Kirk as someone I would have a lot in common with. But he talked a lot about young men. I talk a lot about young men. And some of his messages were, in my view, very positive. Take responsibility, be action-oriented. While we shared that, I'd like to think, advocacy for young men, kind of the solutions were much different. And that is, to the far right's credit, and if you consider Charlie Kirk a member of the right, which I would, they found that a big component of the solution to the problem was taking America back to the good old days of the 50s and 60s, where women were most likely going to stay at home. And it was more about kind of a patriarchy, elevating men to a certain status. I don't think that's the solution, nor do I think it's realistic. I don't think, as hard as we try, we're going to go back. There may be dips in the arc, but the arc or the curve bends towards justice as it should. the thing that was, I think, most admirable, and like you, I started consuming more of his content after he was murdered. The thing that was so impressive was, and ultimately led to his untimely death, unfortunately, was he was very brave and would go on campus and put up a tent and say, "Prove me wrong," and was willing to engage in a conversation. And I think this is so important on campus. And unfortunately, on campus, we have been trained, or there's an orthodoxy on universities that the more woke you are, the more welcome your thoughts are. And anything that's not woke or is conservative gets a gag reflex. And you could tell that, or you could sense that in a lot of his encounters with students, that students would naturally gag on some of his viewpoints, but couldn't put forward the critical thinking to counter his points. Now, sometimes they could. Sometimes they were back in his face with what I thought were excellent points. But Charlie was both willing to take on students and have a civil agreement, civil discussion with them, and also willing to put himself out there and, quite frankly, sometimes be made the fool of, because some of his content, I think, when you're doing that all day, every day, you're going to get it wrong. And I know that firsthand. But he was willing to put himself out there and go on campus into kind of hostile territory, sometimes behind enemy lines, and say, all right, let's have a civil conversation. Let's have a debate. And I think we need more of that. I believe universities should be safe places physically and dangerous places intellectually. One of the things that's really a shame about universities is, for some reason, I don't know, social media or concierge parenting, we have a lot of kids who at least appear to be intellectually fragile. And that is, they just don't want to have a discourse around viewpoints that aren't their own. I would argue that where the right, including Charlie Kirk, sometimes got it wrong, was that they saw masculinity as being, that the ascent of women was one of the reasons that there was a masculinity crisis. I don't think that's true at all. Thanks for the question. If you'd like to submit a question for next time, you can send a voice recording to officehours@profgmedia.com. Again, that's officehours@profgmedia.com, or post your question on the Scott Galloway subreddit, and we just might feature it in our next episode. This episode was produced by Jennifer Sanchez. Our assistant producer is Laura Jenner. Drew Burrows is our technical director. Thank you for listening to the Prof G Pod from Prof G Media.